Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Rundown, where we talk about 2A news and conservative views. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. But as we all know, I do not do this program by myself.
That's right. My name is Mike Piwowarski, coming to you live from the East Coast. That's the coast with the most, from the co-host with the most, here on the Rundown. 2A Views, conservative news, and Craig, guess what day it is?
It's that day.
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
It's hump day.
Hump day!
It's hump day.
Hump day!
That's right, folks. Today is Hump Day. This is the day in which we attempt to begin the weekend, sometimes with success, sometimes not. But as we always like to say, the fun is all in the trying.
That's it, yeah. And might be hard for me to start the weekend today since my weekend ended about 9 o'clock this morning. So,
So what was the dealio, man? Where were you? Where I knew you were in New York. So what took you to New York? Was it to business or pleasure?
pleasure, but you find a way to write it off on your business expenses. You a little bit of both going on there. The Billy Joel concert was going on in Madison Square Garden, and I'd planned to go there long before he announced last month this was going to be his last year there. So that made it, fun and more expensive. But went up, did that, had some flight delays. It was supposed to be a turn and burn, be out of there in less than 18 hours, and had some flight delays and decided screw it, stick around for tomorrow and go see the Mets Yankee game. Did that. Took the old train back to the airport and slept for a little bit, and then flew home this morning. Got back at 9 a.m. So all good.
Oh, nice. So not just Mets, but Mets Yankees.
Well, listen, it doesn't matter who the Mets are playing as long as they win. It just so happens to be the Yankees this time, and they were playing in the Bronx at the Yankee Stadium. So I've been there for 5 or 6 years, so I figured let's go there again. It's a newer park. It's the same old design exterior, but it's a new park, so it's nice.
Well, good. Well, I'm glad you got to enjoy your extended weekend.
Yes, very much so. Very much so. Some got to see some of the new post-COVID rules in New York, so that was fun to poke fun at those.
Post-COVID
you can have
rules?
You could smoke weed in the street, but you get frowned upon if you have a cigar. So I kept a lot of walking and puffing going on around the young urban youths. And then you can't buy flavored cigars in New York anymore. Can't get a flavored cigar. Now, Craig, why would you think you can't buy a flavored cigar anymore?
Oh, well, it's because of the menthol. Because you can't fly the flavored cigars because they're afraid that it'll attract kids. Because kids like smoking cigars.
I see where you're going, but flavored cigars, like you go buy a blunt and you take the tobacco out and then you put the other stuff in it, right? And that would seem to make sense. Let's get rid of the flavored cigars because people use them as, wrappers for marijuana. But on the flip side, let's go ahead and approve marijuana for general use all day long.
Oh yeah. So in other words, you can buy the flavored cigars. Well, you probably can't buy them there, but
right.
If you have them, that's just fine because you just scoop out all the tobacco and put in the marijuana, and bam, you're on it.
Yeah. So they did that to probably curb the marijuana use, and they just approved marijuana use. So
I'm not going to. I'm not even going to look at and think about them even being remotely intelligent because a lot of these policies are just idiotic.
Yes, they are.
It's like make up your mind. You either want to ban the stuff or you don't want to ban the stuff.
100%, 100%.
Anyway, Mike, we got some really good stuff going on in the news today, or if not good stuff, entertaining stuff going on in the news today. But before we get started with that, let's go ahead and give a shout out to our sponsors.
Let's do it. HitmanIndustries.net, HitmanIndustries.net. If you got yourself an AR in the past 5 years, probably got one of their barrels and don't even know it. Well, now you can buy from them direct. They are the factory. You can buy a barrel for your next AR build, rebarrel your current AR rifle. That's HitmanIndustries.net. California Republican Assembly fighting a good fight behind enemy lines. Now you can take part in California's future today. Please keep your eyes on the California 6th congressional race as well. If you want the best in concealment holsters on the market, go over to hogholsters.com. That's HAWG holsters.com, HAWG holsters.com, hogholsters.com. Use the discount code The Rundown, all one word, all caps, no spaces. Get a nice little discount at hogholsters.com. And if you're going outdoors and you want some great outdoor gear, hiking gear, hunting gear, military gear, whatever you want to call it, that good outdoorsy, tough stuff, go over and see our friends at uscombatgear.com.
All right, folks, these are our sponsors. They bring us to you so that we can bring you to them. Do us a favor. Do them a favor. Do yourself a favor. Visit them. All you got to do is click on the link in the description to this program. Go there, check them out, spend some money with them, and make sure you tell them it was the guys over at the Rundown that sent you. On that note, let's get into it, shall we?
We shall.
Where are we at? Here we go. So Hunter Biden is all over the news today. All right. So let's start with what happened yesterday. So many of you may or may not know that Hunter Biden was scheduled to go into court today to basically accept a plea deal on a couple of tax charges and a gun charge. Well, a couple of days ago, the House Ways and Means Committee actually had submitted an amicus brief, or a friend of the court brief, to basically point out all of the times in which they're questioning how the whole thing has been prosecuted. They're saying, look, you can't just give him this sweetheart deal because there are all these things that the Department of Justice or that the IRS was not allowed to investigate. They stood in the way of the investigation. And there's all this stuff here that we now know about. You can't give him this sweetheart deal. And so they submitted this friend of the court brief. Well, someone called in to the clerk's office claiming to be the attorney for the House Ways and Means Committee and saying, yeah, no, we really didn't mean, we want to pull that brief. We don't want it to be included. And so they had included it. Well, yesterday about 1:00, they got a notice, the House Ways and Means Committee attorney got a notice saying that the briefing or that the friend of the court brief had been taken off the docket. So they call in and they say, yeah, no, we never called. We never said anything. We never asked to have it removed. Turns out it was one of Hunter Biden's lawyers, right? Turns out it was one of Hunter Biden's lawyers who had it, who attempted to have it removed, basically called in and lied about being, pretending like they were the attorneys for the House Ways and Means Committee. Here it is. Hunter Biden's counsel faces possible sanctions after accusations of lying in the criminal court case. The judge presiding over Hunter Biden criminal case threatened Biden's legal team with sanctions over allegations of lying to the office. Hunter Biden's counsel is accused of avoiding proper court procedure to allegedly get information about IRS whistleblowers removed from the docket. Delaware Judge Mary Ellen Noriega, gave Biden's legal team until 9 p.m. on Tuesday to explain their side. So now, Mike, this is just the first thing that happened, all right? So then they get to court today. And, they're going through the normal, she's going through some of her concerns over this thing and over the case. And it was good that the Republicans put together this briefing because she basically asked, so now let me be clear. Is this plea deal, this immunity thing, is he now not going to be able to be charged on any of these tax charges? Or is he good of anything? Meaning the gun charges, and then she also asked, because I understand, including charges of being an unregistered foreign agent, and the prosecution, the Department of Justice said, no, he's not going to be cleared of any of that. Literally just the charges that are here and the gun charge. And then Hunter Biden's attorney says, well, then if that's the case, we don't have a deal.
Yeah. Yep.
The deal is off. Now, I was assuming that the plea deal was, that the immunity arrangement was for anything that they were investigating, meaning the investigations would stop, because that's what a lot of people on the mainstream media were saying. The investigations they'll all be done after this plea deal, which seemed ridiculous. But now it kind of seems like, nope, that's not going to be the case. And so the whole plea deal fell apart.
Yes. Yeah, very true. Very true. Again, Craig, I just want to point out that you're like the whitest guy I know when it comes to pronouncing people's names. It's just amazing.
All right, so how do you pronounce that name?
Diverse place. You live in such a diverse place, and you're like, I give up. I'm just going to make something up. And anyway, I know, Craig. I mean, I know. I don't have the video proof, but I know who called. I know the person who called and pretended to be the attorney to get this pulled, to get all this controversy restarted again. Tell me if you follow my theory here. It was Alec Baldwin, right? Alec Baldwin, because that's the guy out there that is the most grateful for Hunter Biden. You got a guy out there who shot and killed a person with negligence because of their anti-gun policies and anti-safety procedures that kill someone. But Hunter Biden comes along and takes the spotlight for his nonsense. But then he gets this sweetheart deal, and that's going to go away. Well, we can't let that happen. Boom, Alec Baldwin to the phones. There we go.
Okay, so I'm going to throw another one out there for you.
Yeah.
Have you heard about the scandal right now going on with the Biden's dog?
Oh boy, I can only assume that the Hunter's dog did it, right?
I'm thinking PETA.
Oh, okay.
You know, he's like bit in the last few months. He's bit like 10 people, people like 10 times.
Yeah.
And by the way, This is the new dog.
Yeah.
You know what it is? That's what happens when your owner keeps sniffing you.
That's it. We just made the same joke. There we go. Perfect. Yeah, listen, it's nice to see that this didn't turn into some giant favor of the president on getting Hunter off scot-free, because everything that I read said, oh yes, everything from 2015 to present is going to be wrapped into this. No charges. He'll receive immunity to plea to these three little sweetheart deals. So it's nice to see that that's not the case, or at least, we know what's going on, Greg. If you report enough of it, right, report it that way, then it becomes truth. Maybe that's how the Biden legal team put it out there, so people wouldn't have any issue with them doing that.
Well, and I think what they were hoping was, and what was nice was the judge clearly did her due diligence, because she said not even really, the gun charge was not specifically mentioned in the plea deal. And I think what they were hoping was they could wrap all of this stuff in by being very kind of vague. And so that later when they went to come back and charge him with something, they could say, oh no, we have immunity from all that. That's all part of the deal. Right. Well, if that's what they were trying to do, the judge blew it up, and it blew up right in their faces.
Very nicely done. Very nicely done. So let's see what happens though, right? Because we know how this works. They could have come to another deal right now and sign it after hours, and tomorrow morning it's over with. So we'll see how it plays out.
Well, it's going to be very, very difficult at this point for them to, because what will probably wind up happening is they'll probably get a deal on the gun and any tax stuff. So any tax stuff will be done. But right now, there's tons of other investigations, in particular on, where'd the money go? What was the money for? There's the main charge that they're going to be looking at is operating as an unlicensed foreign agent, which is what they sent Paul Manafort to jail for. So there's that. And then there's all the questions about the big guy.
The hooker and blow front. Don't forget the hooker and blow front. Yeah.
Oh no, they're Democrats. They hooker and blow kind of comes with their party registration.
Oh, Jesus. All right. Okay. All right. Gotcha.
Sorry.
Gotcha.
They get a pass on that.
You pass on the hooker and blow. Got it. Okay. All right.
Comes with the party registration. We get guns.
Yeah.
And God, they get hookers and blow.
Yep. There you go. Very okay. All right. I see it. I can see it. All right.
All right. Let's move on. Let's move on to our next story. Now, obviously, there's going to be more investigation. Clearly, there's going to be more investigation because we've already been told that, but from Speaker McCarthy, that there is going to be more investigation because clearly there's more to investigate. We're still waiting for Hunter Biden's second partner, the second partner who's worked with Hunter Biden, to come before Congress and testify. And evidently, he's going to be testifying later this week. It's going to be closed door, so it's not going to be open to the public. We're not going to be able to see it. But he's going to testify about all of this stuff, about the arrangements, about who the big guy is, about phone calls with Joe Biden and foreign corporate leaders. And anyway, it's going to be real interesting. And it eventually is going to lead to, as Kevin McCarthy has said, an impeachment inquiry. It may not lead to charges being filed, but what he's saying is, at the very least, we got to investigate it, right? And so in order to have the power to investigate it, well, we got to open up an impeachment inquiry. Now, Senate Republicans, well, let's just say that they're not real excited about this. Now, this piece that was written over in the Hill, and I know the Hill is about as close to a liberal rag as you can get, but this was a piece that was written over at the Hill. It says Senate Republicans see Biden impeachment as fraught with risk. Senate Republicans see impeaching President Biden ahead of the 2024 election as a risky political strategy that could turn off moderate voters and are hoping to wave their House GOP colleagues off from marching down the road. GOP senators say the party is better off focusing on how to improve Americans' lives in the future instead of fighting messy battles to settle political scores. Now, mind you, this is not all Senate Republicans, but I think you're going to see a common theme from the people who are quoted here. Staying focused on the future and not the past is, in my view, the best way to change the direction of the country. That's to win an election. Senate Republican Whip John Thune told reporters Tuesday. Senate Republican Committee Chairwoman Joni Ernst said Tuesday she would prefer to focus on national security, which the Senate is debating this week as it wraps up work on the National Defense Reauthorization Act. Now, Mike, here's what gets me. First of all, these folks act like they are incapable of chewing gum and walking at the same time. All right? But now I get their point, because what they're saying is, if you take a look at what happened with for example, the censorship of Adam Schiff, it actually wound up helping him it basically gave him something to raise money on, right? So in other words, it just put him on the hot seat, and as long as we were attacking Adam Schiff, Democrats are willing to give him money. And they're saying that that's the very same thing that could happen with President Biden. They're saying that also that it'll make him seem sympathetic, and that it'll make it look like Republicans are just being politically vindictive. But I think, and I believe, the difference between what Democrats did to Trump and what Republicans are doing, are how they're handling what's going on with Biden, is they are taking their time and laying out a case that is backed with evidence, with testimony, not just testimony of some conservative right winger, but career investigators. And it's not just about whether or not he was influence peddling. It's about whether or not his administration actually attempted to cover it up, and they've got a lot of evidence of both. I just think that the Senate Republicans need to grow a spine.
Craig, I think we got two parallel issues going on here. One, I think that they're smart enough. I think that the Republicans are smart enough to realize that they don't want to shoot their wad too early, right? So let's get, like you said, let's get everything together. Let's get all the evidence. Let's get all the documentation, and let's push this through next summer. Okay, next summer, as the Democrats are looking to retain the Senate and looking to retain the White House. Let's push it through next summer. So, listen, we didn't mean for this impeachment to be a a sideshow from the election, but listen, this is when all the evidence finally came together, so we presented it now. Much the way the Democrats did to President Trump. So, I think that's part of it. I think the other part of it, while you've got so many people not being outward over this, not shouting the plans, is I think it's pretty clear that the Trump train is going to roll through next year. Right now, we don't know if it's going to cross into the station first or not, but I think we've seen the head-to-head DeSantis versus Trump, and we've seen how that's gone. And I think it's pretty clear it's going to be Donald Trump leading the party next year for the nomination. So I think a lot of them are trying to sit behind right now and say, okay, let's just do what we need to do, keep voting Republican, and whether they happen to be a Trump guy or a TDS sufferer on the Republican side, I think they've all decided, let's sit back and let that guy take the lead, and then we'll jump on board and go, yeah, as opposed to perhaps saying the wrong thing and then having Donald Trump perceive it the wrong way, and you know what happens then. They don't want to be one of those people that Republicans that opposed the president and then lost their jobs at the midterm. So,
right. Well, I think that this whole thing about focusing on the future, and while I get that, and I think that you need to be talking about that. I don't know if you're not doing it. I don't know why you're not. But we are literally talking about bribery, which is actually listed as an impeachable offense. We're talking about a potential bribery, but we're also talking about obstruction of justice, where you literally have, once again, in a whole nother case, you have people going after, first of all, going after a former president with lies, but then also using lies to cover up for your own son. I mean,
no, and I get it.
Or by the way, your own misgivings and misdoings.
I get all of that. But why go after him now and give them over a year to recover before the next election?
Oh, no.
Why
this
not
is not going to happen soon.
During that period,
Keep in mind, the impeachment inquiry does not necessarily mean. So in other words, if they were to sometime in the fall, or even in the spring, because this could go all the way to next spring before they actually file actual articles of impeachment. So this could take a while. It should take a while. Because once again, there's a lot of people that need to be deposed. There's a lot of people who need to come and testify. And what's interesting is when you look at all of this, it's all about, the media is all talking about how Republicans are responding. Nobody's reporting on what the whistleblowers are actually saying. Nobody's focusing on the evidence. None of the mainstream media is focusing on the evidence. I mean, because every single time the FBI or somebody comes up, or the Department of Justice comes up and says something and tries to refute something that the that the whistleblowers are saying, the whistleblowers are like, look, I got receipts. Where are yours?
Yeah. You got, rumor, I got evidence.
Yeah. Well, that is not exactly how I recall. No. Not working for you, bruh. And,
Nope,
and what's interesting that is, even with that, you still got a lot of people who are flat out in denial.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yes.
They're in a river in Egypt known as denial.
That's it. We'll see how it works out. Yep.
All right, Mike, breaking news. This is breaking news because I didn't know that. I did not know this, but evidently there is world breaking news on the medical front, and that is that Joe Biden has cured cancer.
Sort of lost faith for a while on being able to do big things. If you could do anything at all, Joe, what would you do? I said I'd cure cancer. They looked at me like, why cancer? Because no one thinks we can. That's why, and we can. We'd end the cancer as we know it. Deliver on our sacred obligations to veterans was the second thing, I think.
Now, I know he did not cure cancer. You know he did not cure cancer. He may even know that he did not cure cancer. but I really think that is due to his senility. He started into a hypothetical that turned real like that
Yeah.
quick.
Yep. Yeah. He again, you just watch him and he's I get the flutter eye and all that. It just let's get this guy out of there. I mean, you just got to keep your fingers crossed that nothing happens in the next 18 months or so. That we can actually get through the rest of this term.
It's, I
'cause
mean,
at some
today,
point,
earlier
world
today, we had
leaders
a real
go,
kind of a almost
look what
scary
this guy's
moment with.
doing.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I said at some point it's going to come. A world leader is going to go. All right, enough of this guy. Let's go over there and punch these people in the face. And then America is going to be the whipping boy because they think that they can take on Joe and win. So
Yeah. The problem is that look who replaces him.
I get it. I get it. That's why we're all like, okay, he's got to go, but wait, not yet. Let's see if we can do this. Let's see if we can hold this.
Can we put it on autopilot till after the election?
Yeah. Exactly right. Exactly. That's why the Republicans were like, oh, cocaine in the White House. All right. Okay. Well, if it keeps them away. All right.
Well, exactly. That was one of the funniest memes I saw where it was like, look, you know he's Sleepy Joe. You know he can barely stay awake. You want him up. You can't get mad for cocaine being in the White House.
Exactly right. Yeah. Yep. That's it.
Oh, how sad. How sad is that that's a thing?
Yeah, that's it. You can't have your cocaine and eat it too. I mean,
Can't
cake and
have-
eat it too.
You can't have your cocaine and snort it too. What? Oh, all right, Mike. This next one is also a kind of a fun one. As many times as I have testified, for example, in California with the California Department of Justice, and they have their firearms experts. We always, those of us who are in the lobbying corps, those of us who are in the firearms industry, we all like to mock them because they literally are just not firearms experts. And now we're realizing that the folks over at the ATF are now not only are they not firearms experts, they aren't even firearms safety experts. And here's an article over at Breitbart, and they are noting that ATF gets roasted on Twitter for posting range photo with agent breaking gun safety rules. Now, Mike, I'm sure you can see this photo, and I'm sure you have served more than once as a range safety officer. So I will be the one to allow you to kind of point out some of the objectionable things here.
And I want to give a little bit of leeway to law enforcement because they're supposed to be the experts, right? But you still don't break the basic safety rules. And here your basic safety rules are, I mean, how many times do you have to see a firearm laying down on a table pointed at somebody's crotch? I could clearly see that the action's not open. There does not appear to be a magazine in it, but you know what? You don't need to have a magazine in it for it to be loaded. I see a mixture of ammunition and guns throughout the table, which tells me this is not a clearing table. This is not a cleaning table. This is a get ready to take guns on the range and shoot table. So they should all be the extreme measures of security. All muzzles are pointed down range. All right, you don't have anybody between the muzzle and the backstop. There's just a host of them here, and we could
So in other words, he's either standing down range,
right?
or the guns are pointed the wrong direction.
Yeah, and if he's standing down range, the guys over on the right side are also standing down range. So it's just a host of everything wrong. It really is.
Yeah, I just found it to be hilarious. And once again, by the way, all of the ATF jokes about the dog joke, the ATF dog shooting dogs jokes.
Yep.
In this thread are hilarious. Yep. But yeah, if you guys get a chance, you want to run over there and check it out. It's actually very, very funny. And all due respect to those who serve in law enforcement, we love you guys. But the more I learn, the more I realize that while there may be a greater likelihood that someone in law enforcement knows and understands firearms and firearms safety, it is not a given that they do.
No, it's not. No, it's not. No, definitely not. And listen, Craig, if it's you and I, we're pretty good. We're pretty comfortable. I'm still abiding by the rules of basic, firearm safety for when that other person walks up, and then whether they know something or they don't know something, now they think that's Mike and Craig are doing it this way. This must be the right way to do it. That's why you always do it the right way. If anybody sees you, if anybody comes over and picks up a gun, anybody touches it, it's done. All right, it's done. You don't have to worry about the outside influence you're having on others.
Well, the other thing, Mike, I would say is this. How about you hire a communications person or a public information officer that also is familiar with firearms so that you know better than to post pictures like that?
Yeah, I hear they're going to use the safety from Rust, Alec Baldwin's film, the firearms expert there. So,
oh, Mike, I have no idea. This is I have no idea what to say to these folks. I don't. Anyway, so much for government bureaucrats. That's just kind of how they work. Anyway,
yep.
That's going to move us on to our. That's going to move us on to our parting shot. Okay, and I don't know what do I have going on here. There we go.
It's your world, bro. I'm just living in
it. Computer just decided, yeah, we're going to start playing a video in the background. Why not? In California computers, tell them AI, man, got a mind of its own.
Yeah, where's Kamala? She's supposed to be on that.
Oh, she's supposed to be handling that. Come fix my computer.
That's it.
Anyway,
did you try unplugging it? Did you plug it in? Unplug it? Plug it in? Unplug.
Yeah, that's like step 5, according to Kamala. So I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
Okay, folks, welcome to the Parting Shots, brought to you by Hog Holsters. Get your Hog Holster at hogholsters.com. Make sure you use the discount code The Rundown, all caps, no spaces. Get your Hog Holster today. Now, Mike, did you see the video of Joe Biden scaring the little girl by nibbling at her?
Yes, I did. Yeah,
Okay.
That poor girl.
Really kind of sad.
Yeah.
And then it reminded me when someone called him the nibbler.
It's the nibbler.
Holy smokes, Batman! It's the nibbler. Oh, okay. All right, in the next one, in the ongoing theme of that we've been talking about for the last week of cocaine in the White House, things that should not be at the White House. The Biden crime family has turned our once prestigious White House into a lewd, degenerate-filled crack house. You want to mention the 3 things that are shown here that were at the White House?
Well, it's 4 if you count them correctly, right?
Well, yeah.
you got 2 boobies on the left there, right? And you got
that's the transgender woman who decided to bare their breasts on the front lawn of the White House.
Then on the right, I guess you'd have 3 boobs over there on the right.
Yeah, on the right, you have 3 boobs.
Yeah,
the president,
and then
the first lady, and the first crackhead.
Yep. And then in the center, you got some foot powder. You got a little bag of foot powder.
There you go. Foot powder. Which reminds me, with a picture of the White House, crack houses are so much fancier these days than they were in the 90s.
Look at that. All we need is all the satellite dishes on the roof, and it would be idiocracy,
There you go. But then again, you know what?
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
It really is, Rick. It really is.
Yes, Rick, it really is. Cocaine really is a hell of a drug.
Yep. If you have the athlete's foot, right, and you put that cocaine foot powder on your foot, it will help your foot. You won't feel the itching anymore. So
I've never been close enough. I've never been in the proximity of cocaine's where I could do something like that. So I will just take your word on that theory.
Well, I do live in Florida, and I was here for, the 80s and 90s as well. So I'm not just saying. You at some point you're like, what is that? Oh, that's cocaine. Oh, cocaine. Keep going.
Okay.
Keep going. It's just everything. It's just.
All right,
moving
moving right
today?
along, folks. Before we head out today, let's give a shout out to our sponsors.
Hitman Industries, hitmanindustries.net. You can get rifle and pistol caliber barrels at any length you desire, and soon to come, Glock barrels. So check out hitmanindustries.net. California Republican Assembly fighting a good fight behind enemy lines. Now you can take part in California's future today. Again, watch out for the California 6th congressional race. And if you want the best in field gear, the best in going outdoor gear, tactical gear, hunting gear, whatever it might be, check out our friends at uscombatgear.com.
That's right, folks. Please take a moment, visit our sponsors, and make sure you let them know that the guys over at The Rundown sent you. And that's going to do it for today. We very much appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate you liking and sharing the program and encouraging your friends to do the same. We will be back tomorrow on Throat Punch Thursday. Holla at a bruh.